Welcome once again to the program, The Polity, reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. As usual, we have a lot in store for you today, bordering on the state of the nation, KANO state politics, the issue of ministerial nominations, and also much later in the program we will be talking about the Niger crisis, the aftermath of the coup, and Nigeria's involvement in the resolution or restoration of a democratic government in the neighboring country. But as we have a lot in store today, we'll start with some pertinent issues, particularly with KANO State. I have with me in the studio Mr. Ibrahim Garba Iceman. He is the senior, special advisor media to AA Zara, senatorial candidate for KANO Central 2023 general elections, APC KANO. He joins me now to speak on a host of issues, particularly what's going on in KANO State. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's good to have you. It's been a while.
It's been a while indeed.
Let's talk about, the last time we met, I believe it was close to election and, the energy was high. How's it been since then?
Well, yes, election has come and gone. You know about it. Although we lost, but we are still in court because a lot happened within that period. As you all know, we have KANO State's election is one of the most keenly contested across the nation because, one, the population, the interests, and the heavyweights that were paraded at that time. We have the NNPP, we have the PDP, we have the APC, and of course a host of other political parties. But the main actors of the EM were those that contested under the senatorial election and the governorship elections, in which we were much more involved. And we delivered for the APC. We delivered for Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can recall last time I came here, I said yes, he stands a better chance of winning. And we know all what happened, but I can say his victory is attributed to the new electoral acts, which made provisions for people to go out to the grassroots to campaign based on your strength, your capacity, your followership, and your antecedents and all that. So we all know what played out during the elections. But that of KANO, yes, I can tell you, KANO Central, where we were looking for, yes, we came all out, but we had a very big challenger in the likes the person of Rabiu Musa Konkoso, former governor of KANO State. We were very confident about winning the election because at that time the NNPP fielded a candidate, that is former governor Ibrahim Shekaro, who eventually stepped down. So within that window period, there was no candidate for us. There was no candidate we're really competing with. So the only challenger we had closest to us was the PDP candidate, a female. So we knew that going to the election is going to be like walkover for us. Because if you go through the Electoral Act, the provisions there, and that is why we're very confident that by the time the tribunal sit down and the judgments are read, we still have a better chance of winning our election. So it was really a tough moment for us, going back and forth, and we are very confident about it. But then we have to commend our opponents from the other parties, because KANO politics, like everyone knows, is totally different from any other political arrangement in any part of the country. It's about your capacity, it's about your network and how you connect with the grassroots. Religion also play a key role. But you can see the surprises, like the NNPP KANO won KANO South, defeating the APC challenger Kabiru Gaya. Then for KANO North, well, I give it up for the present Deputy Senate President, of which he came out against Titans. He fought very hard, and he, by stroke of luck, he made it. And today he's the Deputy Senate President. But for AA Zaura, well, we came up against super heavyweights because Kano Central, like you know, is the heartbeat of Kano politics. This is where you have the big players, the industry heavyweights. We have the marketers. We have, you know, the creme de la creme of Kano politics. So we came up against a very huge personalities, but I'm still hopeful that we're going to get it at the end of the day. So a lot of things played out during the last elections.
That's interesting. You know, we even saw, to some extent, there was some violence, and particularly with the former majority leader. I'm sure he had some contentions talking about Dogua.
Al-Hassan Dogua. Yes.
But aside that, elections, like you said, are over. I've been having talks with the NMPP publicity secretary, and there's a statement he makes continuously, which is that after elections, politicians are no longer worried about, you know, me versus them. It's now how can we move forward and, you know, for the betterment of the state, the country, the zone, wherever it is. Because there have been questions about whether the NMPP leader, Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, has any sort of collaboration with the APC and PDP and so on. But that aside, the question now is, within the state, Kano State, what is the state of things now? Now that the new governor has taken over, and we've seen him go on will I call it the demolition spree, so to speak, of illegal structures and structures that were not properly done the right way, and so on and so forth. Recently, he just made appointments. So the question now is, what is the political state of Kano? Is it welcoming, especially for instance, your party, which is now in opposition in that state? What's the state of things?
Well, thank you very much. Very beautiful question. First thing is NMPP, during their campaign, they were a pre-campaign threats, I'll use that word, because even before the election, there were these messages flying around that as soon as we come into office, there are some illegalities we're going to address. And if you purchase any property through the state government, and we're going to pull them down and on. There were a lot of threats here and there. It wasn't healthy. So that is why it was keenly contested. Well, presently, we expect that upon assumption of power, he should be able to first begin consulting widely, mending fences, because this is Kano politics. Everyone, you know, if you check around, I will tell you categorically that we're just like brothers and sisters. Even if we have political differences, we still meet behind the scene to have conversation on what we should be done to move Kano forward. And beginning with vendetta, pulling down infrastructure, these are investments that were made through acquisition. People express interest, and the governor the former governor it's necessary see to it that it is time to rebuild Kano, and it's time to market Kano to other parts of the world. You have to attract investors and all that. So some of these infrastructures, to me, people say is illegal. If you go through the process, it's not as if you were called and handed over the infrastructure. And I could recall when he came in, he's a friend. I see him as a friend because we used to have interaction. Even if we have differences, I used to send him a WhatsApp message and all that. I informed him that, you see, starting by pulling down this infrastructure, it's like he firing a wrong or sending a wrong signal to the international community. I advise that what you should do first, you go through the process involved. The time they acquired these properties, was it done, was due process observed? That is one. Then number two, who are those that acquired this property? Are they politicians? Are they technocrats? Are they business people? Are they foreign investors and all that? You need to do a checklist so that after your findings, you can still go through a process, because the court is there for revalidation and all that. We have the Ministry of Land, they are there for revalidation. So what you should first of all do is ascertain the status of each land that was acquired. These properties, you see, monies were spent setting up this infrastructure. If necessary, what you should do is maybe seize these properties, because I can tell you, even the one around Daula Hotel coming towards the training ground for the race course, to me, is something that will add value to KANO, because the market is saturated. People need to open up. You need to open up. Even the new markets being set up by the former governor is a strategy towards moving out people, to other parts of KANO so that they can see development. So if you are going to pull out, or rather pull down this infrastructure, you still need money to build them, right? You might maybe change the architectural design, but I don't see any reason pulling down, because the Core certified this property that they are fit to be there. It has gone through a lot of procedures, and monies have been spent on erecting some of these properties. And again, as I'm talking to you, they have taken this matter to court. So we advise, but for him, I see it as something like a personal vendetta. Okay, if I come on board, yes, I'm going to pull this down, I'm going to do that. Okay, what stops you from building the infrastructure? Okay, like the one for Dala Hotel, naturally it was for continuous education for under Kano State University of Technology. There's a department there. I think that is supposed to be food and hygiene and all that. But okay, why not confiscate the property and convert it to public use?
Wait, just a question. When you say when you talk about vendetta, is there any hope at all of collaborations, or like we're seeing on the national level where we see talks of a unity government? Is that possible within Kano State, taking into account a comment made by the just outgoing governor, current APC national chairman, some months ago, I believe it's been about a couple of months now, at the State House, where he said that if he had run into the NNPP leader, talking about Senator Kwanko, so he might have slapped him, so do you think the bad blood is so much that there's not a chance of collaboration? I say this because KANO is special in that you have an NNPP government, but then the Deputy Senate President is also from KANO, but he's not with the NNPP, he's with the APC. So it's a special state in terms of that dynamic. So is there any chance of collaborations working together?
Collaboration has to do with what you bring on board. The onus is on the present governor, that is Abba Kabir Yusuf, to make that move. Yes, it's not about winner takes all anymore. It's about looking at the details. We expect him that to look into the issue between former governors Kwankwaso and Ganduji. These are best of friends. Okay, we expected him to I have my own plan for KANO. You are now the governor, but when he came in, his loyalty is to the former governor Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, and people see him as a third time again in disguise. So that has been on ground, and the dynamics of KANO, or rather KANO politics, is something that is unpredictable. You can wake up today and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and if you go against it, I'll do it my own way. They can fall apart between him and the former governor if he doesn't align with his own thinking. So we see that coming to happen in the future, because we warned against all these things happening now. Because if you come on board, give us a template of what you are going to do. If it's going to be, sponsorship of students, if it's going to be, maybe job creation and all that, let it out. Let us know what you have on board, what you are coming with. But as I can tell you now, there's a huge divide between the APC, NNPP, and PDP. And I can tell you, for what he has done these few days, he has lost a lot of supporters, even within the NNPP. Nobody support pulling down these infrastructures. No, nobody will support that, because one, take for instance where we had this former Eid praying ground that was converted, some part of it was converted to market. Why did it happen that way? They are looking for shops, and shops are becoming too expensive. So you need to sort up new buildings for people to acquire, and a lot of people have moved in, and when it came, the trade forced a lot of people to shut down their businesses, looking for new shops and all that. A lot of people were affected. So And don't forget, there was a demonstration within that period too. People came out en masse to say no to all these things happening. So for that political marriage to really take place, I think it's going to be impossible for now. And again, let me give you another example. You know, during that, when we had that issue concerning the former Emir of Kano State, Senator Lamido Sanusi, when he was forced out of office, even if we are not happy with what happened, but the governor was very smart about it by opening new chiefdoms, about 5 of them, okay? And the essence of that is to take development to the grassroots so that people can see clearly what is happening from the center, and all of them were made first-class chiefs. Now, we all know what happened when he came back. There is this anger that, well, they are going to return to the status quo. That means the former emir should come back and take his position as Emir of Kano. And by his body language, we are beginning to see elements of that. If you go to Coronation Hall in Government House, Kano, now you see the former emir picture being hosted there. Is it supposed to be that? So you are building up more anger, you are creating new enemies for yourself, and this will not all go well for Kano. This is not what Kano need now. You know, we need this process of reconciliation so that Kano will be better for it. It's not a APC government that is there. And don't forget, Bola Tinubu is not with the party, NNPP. And you need to attract investment from the center and across the world. What if these things you propose and it has to go through these bodies? Will you succeed in doing that? The answer is no. Then secondly, there were rumors anyway that the former governor, Kwankwaso, is lobbying to become one of the ministers after having a 4-hour meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in France. We know what happened. Yes, we need Kwankwaso in this government because it's somebody, it's an asset. But politically and otherwise, it's an asset to the nation. So with that in mind, and from Kano, you are pulling down infrastructures, you are sweeping their feet. Do you think that type of alliance coming to take place? The answer is no. That's on one side. And the person you are fighting before, Ganduje, okay, is a maverick in Nigerian politics. You can't take it away from him. I can tell you much about Ganduje a whole day. He's somebody that studied the political terrain from the background. He nominates people, appoint them into strategic positions. He doesn't have his own, movement that this is Gandujia movement. He aligned with everybody. He was with Shekaro. Shekaro team worked with him. Konkosia team worked with him. So he spread very wide. He brought in many people from diverse cultures and all that. He made it open for everybody to come in so that we can have some kind of development. What happened at the end of the day? It almost cost him his political career with his scandals reeling here and there. Today, what happened? He's now the APC national chairman. A big step in his career. Can you take that away from him? So if it's not that good nationally, he will not attract these people, he will not attract this position. And being the chairman of the party, he oversees the party and is talking at the highest level now. So he's in a better position to tell you this should be what will happen in Kano and other places across the nation. Yeah. So all these things, I don't think it will really help us in moving Kano forward, honestly.
It's interesting, when you mention it, that's yet another major national position being held by someone from Kano State. So let's talk quickly now. In all of this, what's the role of your principal, A.A. Kaura, Zaura, pardon me, in all of this? Is he after the election? Is there any means to still be a part of this, or is he just biding his time with his case? What's the next step?
I think before we even talk about the next step, let's also look at his involvement in Kano politics. Zaura, initially he was in GPN, Great Party of Nigeria. Seeing those qualities in him attracted him to the APC government, because if you look at APC when he came in, it's like a shadow of itself. And he came in with capacity. This man, I think among all the political actors at that time, within this period he came in, and now he has outspent virtually everybody. He has attracted a lot of people to APC. He has attracted a lot of crowd to APC. look, let me tell you, when we came into APC, immediately we were inaugurated as members of APC. He hit the ground running, providing scholarship to over 5,000 people, KANO indigents. He purchased these firefighting equipments for the KANO State Fire Service, about 10 of them. He built a police post single-handedly in Ungogo local government. You understand? This motherless babies home, he donated the vehicle, about 35 million to them. I even gave them money for funding. He supported so many upstarts. I think, apart from that, he bought over 50 vehicles for each local government. Why is he doing that? Because he came in fully to support the party. In terms of publicity, wherever he goes, most of these media organizations, they saw patronage from him. Why is he doing that? Because he wants to change the narratives in KANO politics. KANO is very big. You need to make a public statement. This is who you are, and this is what you intend to do for the people. Laying this foundation, not just because he wanted to be a governor or a senator, but he wanted to give back to the community. Let me take you back a little bit during the COVID-19. Even from Abuja here, we had a corporate conference. Most media organizations benefited from, face masks, hand sanitizer and all that we gave because, one, it was choking that time. And we even provide mobile clinic for, some people, most people in some of these villages in KANO. Almost all the local governments in KANO State benefited from him. But politics being what it is, he couldn't get the governorship ticket. We agreed because it was a consensus arrangement. There's a structure, there's on ground. We need to obey and follow procedures. We accepted by even running for office of the Senate. With all these things famous that he has done for KANO, do you need anybody to say to the party big quiz that this man is the best candidate for a ministerial portfolio? He has done so much for the party. That is why personally I became angry. I said, no, there's a need for me to come and tell the world, something is wrong somewhere. This is somebody that easily he can influence the party decision at the top and all that. This is somebody that you can present him as a vice presidential candidate for the party because he has it. He's a very young person. He's ambitious. He's touching many people's lives. What is politics? It's about touching people's lives. He has done so much for almost every family in KANO State. So when you are looking for people to fill executive positions like that, it's okay, fine. Even if you are not going to consider Zaura, okay, give him the benefit of the doubt, let him even nominate somebody. Or let him support our candidate. This is somebody we are nominating based on, structural arrangement and all that by zoning this, zoning that, because he comes from KANO Central. Already we are lucky to have Senator Baro Jibrin, who is from KANO North, as the Deputy Senate President today. We congratulate him. We are very happy with our arrangement. We have Kao Sumela in the Senate today, who is from KANO South. You understand? So, but KANO Central, who do we have? Nobody. So these things, when you look at it, we see that we are being overlooked for so many reasons. Nobody, please find out from people that know KANO very well, nobody did what Zaura did in KANO State. As I'm talking to, no politician did that, including the Deputy Senate President.
So what happened really that led to, could you say that led to this sidelining, so to speak? We've seen a little bit of drama when it comes to the KANO State like all these slots for the ministerial position. We saw Miriam Shetty and being, what some persons might call being embarrassed because she got to the National Assembly only to be told that she'd been replaced. So what's really going on? Who, at the end of the day, who is being heard or who is nominating or being chosen for this things? How is it happening? And why do you think that A. Zaura was sidelined?
Thank you very much for this question. First things first, let me use this analogy. In every organization, there's a leader. Just like this station, we have the managing director and other people that call the shots. You don't bypass these protocols to take decision on their behalf. That is error number one. At that time, consultations was going on. Well, Tinubu had to wait for anybody that will be presented to him. I don't have anything against Mariam Shettima. But again, you should know that the first family played a critical role for the emergence of, or rather, during that last elections. You don't just overlook somebody like Ganduje or his wife or those closest to him by nominating somebody who should be the minister or any top government, any big portfolio at the national level. It doesn't work that way. It's a slap on his face. So if our adventure, His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje was consulted before that decision was taken, it would be a walkover for Mariam Shetty. Now, another thing is that this is KANO. This is not Akwa Ibom. This is not Enugu. This is not Imo. Or this is not Bauchi. KANO is a very big city. We have a lot of politicians. We have a lot of people who have done so much to lift the standard of the party itself, APC. So by ranking, I think Mariam should not get close to that slot. Rather, she can be considered maybe as a special advisor because of her relationship with Mr. President and the wife. Yeah, we will be happy to see that happen. You groom her. She's still young. We want to see young people coming on board. But at that level, taking the executive decision, you need to consult widely. So I think that was what happened. So when the matter was brought forward, even at that time, we're seeing with the Ganduje was struggling, consulting widely to become the APC national chairman, which eventually he got. He will fault the process. And that is why they came back and said, no, let us look at the basics. Because politics is about give and take. You have done so much for me. What should I do? How do I pay you back for what you have done? So if the first family decided, okay, we are replacing this name with another Maria, okay, who is a medical doctor, I know her very well. Well, it's not out of place. But the way and manner it was done, that shouldn't have happened if they have consulted widely. And I think those are
do you think that was later done? Is that what led to the...
Of course, of course. Ganduje has to be consulted because it took him by surprise, even when the lady was mentioned. And the lady, as far as I know, she has friends across board in other political parties. And she has been trending so much on social media and people trail her. And they felt, no, it's too early for that to happen and all that. Just want to see people, young people coming on board. But then, this is politics. You need to consult widely. Just like me, it's okay, Brian Garba, come, let's make you a minister because you have done this. No. If it is all right today emerge a senator of the Federal Republic, first thing first, I'll take a back seat. I should not force words out of his mouth. Let him take his own decision. Who are those he feel can work for him to deliver best? Okay, Brian Garba, yes, we have done this over the years. Well, do this for us. I will accept. But if I see there's somebody better than me, I'll gladly turn it down, like I did in 2015. I was the media consultant to Abdullahi Ganduje when he flagged off his campaign. We set up, we did a lot by organizing the press conference to announce his intention to become a candidate for governor of Kano State. Now after we mobilized the Kannywood, we mobilized the student union, mobilized women here and there, we did our part. But at the formative stage of his administration, I found out where there are people with pedigree around, that people that need to be compensated. Maybe we should wait for our time. I did not complain that I was overlooked. No, there are people who were better than me, that need, families were consulted, even if, yes, people felt I should have been given a look. You know, I didn't complain because I was comfortable where I am. So it's not about you being taking advantage of the, the vacuum that was created. It's about you waiting, look around. I expected Mariam to say, look, even if you nominate me, let me consult widely. Your Excellency, they nominated me. What is your opinion on this issue? You go down to my community. There are people that have done so much for the party. If she had done that, she will not be pulled out as a nominee for the ministerial position. So I think we should respect the existing protocols so that it can stay safe. That's my response to that.
We do wish maybe it was done a bit, more humane manner. Like you said, she's still very young. We don't know what this could do for her morale, you know, getting there. But that being said, the person that was eventually nominated, all is well now.
Yeah.
And then the issue of Zara himself, you know, what do you now do? You know, you've given an analogy here about waiting for your time, but you've also painted a picture of his huge involvement or contribution so far. Is this, would I say, a bit worrisome that the APC or KANO APC are at risk of losing someone who brings this much to the party after being sidelined or overlooked?
Well, that's a critical point you raised there, because it happens to every human being. If you're overlooked, you begin to do a rethink, you re-strategize, and you begin to attract suitors. I'll give you an example. When Mariam was dropped, her name was dropped. Look at the sympathy she got from the both local and international community, because one, they felt no, she should have been embarrassed that way. We sympathized with her. On the contrary, Zora, I see him as an icon in northern politics. He's young, but he has impacted so much on the party APC. And about last week we were discussing, I say, Excellency, I see you, yes, even if we're in court, which I see prospect in that, but then the party shouldn't have overlooked him, because one, he outspent virtually everybody in the party, APC. I can challenge anybody to that. Let's bring our cards to the table. We outspent every candidate during the election.
But do you think that, you know, makes him entitled to a position, so to speak?
Like I said, I wouldn't want to use the word overqualified. One, he's a political maverick. He's a mobilizer. He has so many fans. He has so many friends. And remember, he has a very large constituency to take care of. So how do you manage such a constituency? We are talking about 15 local governments under his purview, if he is to be a senator. Okay, the same structure is there. You need to service this structure. You need to, you know, maintain close affinity with them. And you need him to win 2027. You cannot overlook Zora, because whether you like it or not, KANO State politics, the APC, if you mention 2-3 people, Zora is ranked among them.
But this is the political aspect.
Yes.
What about the delivering on whatever mandate is given? What do you say about that? You know, if he were to be a minister, what portfolio do you think he would have, you know, been given to exhibit his own expertise?
You see, even right before time, when they are mentioning people for different portfolios, I thought, because one, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whom I hold in higher esteem, knows virtually those that have the capacity to help him. He knows A.A. Zora personally, even before elections and all that. And despite the relationship between Zora and Mr. President, he didn't say, okay, let me take advantage of that to mess around. No, he fought his way like any other politician. So I see Zora, one, as a mobilizer, somebody that has deep relationship with the youths. I see him as somebody who should be appointed as a Minister of Youth and Sports Development. He can fit in very well in that category, because you need him ahead of 2027 elections. Zora is, apart from being a mobilizer, is somebody that is connected to anything that has to do with youth development, especially sports and recreation. Zora is somebody that today, as a proud supporter of KANO Pillars, what did he do when KANO Pillars came? He said, look, we need to support our team. He organized a competition for them. He gave them almost 40 million naira. At that level, how many politicians in KANO did that? He even donated a coaster. What about 35 million to KANO Pillars because of his passion for football and other sports? Okay, so I don't see, I wouldn't want APC to trade Zora away or overlook Zora at this critical time if they need to position themselves ahead of 2023. It's a critical factor. Don't lose him. because the opposition might invite him, say, look, you have lost. It's normal in politics. Okay, if you decide to say, okay, let him stay away, let him, after all, we have gotten what we want. No, 2027 is just like tomorrow, because as you win the election, you start perfecting your ways ahead of the next election. Right. That is the Nigerian politics. Even worldwide, you need to reposition the party. You need to bring in people with capacity. Ganduje alone cannot do it. Mr. President alone cannot do it. I can tell you from here, most of these ministers being nominated today, how many of them have capacity to deliver for Mr. President in 2027? Let us tell ourselves the truth. So it's time for us for us to look at people, one with capacity, people that can help Mr. President to succeed on his mandate, because it's not just appointing you as a minister. You must live up to expectations, because this man wants to impact on people's lives. And even now that we're talking about, helping the economy to reboot, we all know what is happening now in the course of the subsidy and all that. We have so many challenges. So you need people that can connect. People that if you assign them to roles, it's not as if they are going to, take this money out and do something else. These are people already, they are used to the terrain. They have a structure in place. They have a system in place. Okay. With 2 billion naira, you assign to this, to this, to this. You spread that across the nation. 10 billion naira. So it's all about settlement and, touching people's lives. So you must first be in the system to know how it works. Not that you are just somewhere across, like, okay, you are overseas, you just came in because your brother or your sister nominated you, okay, for ministerial portfolio, you are good in ICT. No, it's about, politics about reality. How you connect with the grassroots. A lot of things have changed, my brother.
All right, speaking about the grassroots, let's just end on this note. The issue of the president has already won his election, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
For sure.
He's there now.
Yes.
And one of the issues I believe that is affecting everyone down to the grassroots, I'd just like to get your thoughts on it. The issue of subsidy, and some hardship that Nigerians are facing. Yeah. If you recall, the last time we talked before the election, we were talking about the Naira exchange and how it was affecting Nigerians. And this time we have the issue of subsidy, and the president has said himself just last week again that he apologizes, there's no other way, this is the only way. How do you think this is being handled, and do you think it's in the best interest of Nigerians?
Well, I'm very happy you asked this question. In the first place, let's look at the intention of Mr. President when he removed that subsidy. This has been an issue that bothers most leaders of this country today, even right from Obasanjo time. He threatened to remove subsidy. Good luck, the same thing. Nigerians came up against him because we're not good at managing resources. Why? A lot of politicians we had in the past, it's about me and my family and all that. It's about acquisition of wealth and all that. The impact on people. Now that's on one side. The good intentions which you have will help you to settle down for business. Mr. President does not need to report to any cabal. That is one, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Number two is a businessman, is involved in oil and gas and so many businesses across the world. So he knows the terrain. He knew, it's not about he removing subsidy. The former President Muhammadu Buhari already made his intention clear that subsidy must go from end of June. It must go because it's there. It was captured during the budget presentation by the former Minister of Finance. So Tinubu coming on board has to take the bull by the horn. I commended him for that. Subsidy has to go, my brother. Now, look at this way. Every month, you are paying out of almost 400 billion to, some few marketers. Why should you do that? You pay this money out, we still go to the filling stations to join queues. Why should we do that? What happened after that? Immediately the subsidy was removed, the prices of petroleum went up. We know what happened to 500 when it was announced that the fuel now sells for 537. People begin to rationalize. The queue at the filling station disappeared. Plus or minus, we see, or rather we all knew what happened because, one, a lot of people abandoned their vehicle. It's not about living luxurious life. It's about planning and restructuring, and at the same time aligning with the present reality. Today, even when I park my vehicle, because I have to use public transport, we have to rationalize. You just spend money unnecessarily, and it doesn't warrant to that.
But will this pay off in the long run?
In the long run, I see it as a win-win situation for us, because a lot of people marketers threaten that they are going to jack up the price of petroleum and all that. No. I think the challenge before Mr. President is that how can we see Kaduna Warri Refinery working in the short term? This is the solution. Because if you see Kaduna Refinery working and Warri Refinery working, I can assure you the price of petroleum will not go beyond 200 naira per liter, because we are refining this thing locally. Find out, if we take this fuel overseas, the refineries this crude oil go to, who owns those refineries? These are Nigerians. These are Nigerians that own these refineries overseas. So why are you extracting from us and at the same time punishing us because we gave you the opportunity to own these oil wells? Nigerians are paying dearly for, sins, or for not aligning with what is happening in under the present administration. I think what our appeal to Nigerians is that we should for once be patriotic. We should support Mr. President, give him information to work with. Okay, the difference between Tinubu and Buhari is that Tinubu, Mr. President Buhari still trusts you. If he believes, if he assign you to any role, you will deliver, no problem. But Bola Ahmed Tinubu is different. He will assign you a role, follow up to make sure you deliver. And as I'm talking to you, he's working around the clock to make sure that this issue about subsidy is addressed, right, and all that.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Iceman Garba Ibrahim. It's a pleasure having you. It's been great, and it's been a while, and it's good to catch up and really break these things down. Thank you so much. My producers are already ringing in my ear. Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate it.
Hopefully we get to talk to you later, as updates come in, and hopefully your agitations, get to the right ears, and we'll see how that turns out.
You're most welcome.
All right. That's what we take on this segment of the program. Like I said, we will be looking at some other issues, the issue of the Niger coup and the aftermath and Nigeria's involvement, and also we'll be taking a look at the APC leadership and the new national chairman and how that is going on. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.